Hi, my name's Phil. I'm the host and creator of the Taming Hindrances podcast, and every once in a while I do some product reviews on a product that has something to do with those things. And today's question, we're talking about sleep aids, and the product in question is Zhou Nutrition's Driftoff, and let's get into it. So Zhou Nutrition is a great company, and they created this product called Driftoff, a product available in the link in the description below. Full disclosure, that's an affiliate link down there, but you can just Google it if you don't feel like using that link. So moving into the actual review, what is it? Well, it's a supplement to help you fall asleep and get better sleep. And does it work? Yes. Most of my reviews, I just have a quick and dirty right up front, and that's the quick and dirty of it. It does work. I've used it in multiple instances, both regularly and irregularly. I used it for about a 2-week process to get a sleep cycle back into track. Worked great for that. And then it also works for irregular use. So as Zhou touts, it's a peaceful rest relaxation item. And yeah, moving into more of the deep dive here, let's go into what this whole thing is all about. So Driftoff is a supplement designed to help you get to sleep easier and achieve a better and more restful sleep. And it does that through Eastern and Western medicinal practices kind of blended together. And that's what Zhou Nutrition does as a company. I've used other of their products, great company, great products. They're a Utah-based company, and Zhou makes it a point to use high-quality ingredients. And they do that specifically when they do their testing, so they know. Some companies, or most companies, do some sort of testing, lab verification, but Zhou does two pieces that are very important. First, they test the quality of the products they get in, and not every company does that. And then secondly, they test the quality of the product going out. So they actually, quality control on the products or ingredients that are coming in the door, and then quality control on the product that's going out the door. And that I find is a super important thing to make sure you get a good supplement. So they do both. And then in the formula for Zhou's Drift Off is valerian root extract, GABA, known as gamma-aminobutyric acid, L-tryptophan, chamomile, as an aerial extract, Passionflower as an aerial extract, lemon balm as a leaf extract, and hop cone extract and melatonin. Now, this is one thing I specifically like about Zhou's products is they list where they got the item from. So it's not just, we use valerian root. No, they use valerian root extract. It's not just, hey, we use chamomile. No, they use chamomile aerial extract. Aerial extract is the first rooting body of the seeds. When the seed passes germination and then its rooting body happens, that's an aerial extract. You can go look into that further. But again, with like hops, they tell you they use the cone extract, and the cone extract for hops is the fruiting body of the hops plant. Moving into the ingredients, we have valerian root as the first ingredient here. And valerian root is known to be, it's an herb, and it's known to be a sedative, and it's been widely used in historical medicine. And cats like it, just kind of like they like catnip. So it's a flowering plant, and its root is dried for use typically. Zhou uses an extract or root extract, which is a more potent version of the dried root. I don't specifically know what extract method they use, but as most of their products I've always found to be high quality, they're probably using some sort of high quality extract method, CO2 based or something along those lines. Has sedative properties, specifically from valeric acid, which creates valproic acid, and that's a known. I have a typo there. I apologize. That's a known anticonvulsant. It's been used valproic acid is the byproduct of valeric acid that they use in chemical processing to create anticonvulsants. It also helps with GABA levels. It contains and promotes them. And then the valeric acid stops a known GABA inhibitor. GABA, we're going to get into the next slide, but it's super important for what's known as non-REM sleep. We'll get into that. But it's a partially agonist for serotonin receptors, specifically 5-HT5A, which is part of your circadian rhythm. That's one of the serotonin receptors that helps with the circadian rhythm. And circadian rhythm is your sleep-wake cycles. It's what our body uses to say, oh, I should be asleep, I should stay asleep, oh, hey, I need to wake back up. In Chinese traditional medicine, TCM, it has other modalities, and it's been used for insomnia, inflammation, sedation, pain relief, anti-hemorrhagic, which is bleeding, blood pressure, and also for menstrual cramps. And it has possible sleep function interactions that are been tested or in testing for falling asleep, anti-anxiety, and blood pressure control. Now, when we're sleeping, it's important that obviously we don't have an anxiety attack or anything like that. So it's anti-anxiety, but anti-anxiety also goes along with the serotonin levels. That's what serotonin really controls, is our anxiety levels. It's the mood stabilizer. It's not dopamine's the feel good hormone. Serotonin's more of the feel good / just kind of calm, peaceful, normal rhythm hormone. And it has blood pressure control elements. Super important for when we're sleeping, because if you have increased blood pressure, it's typically due to the fact that your vagus nervous system, which is the part of the nervous system that's kind of always paying attention to your surroundings, might think you're in some sort of danger, and thus your blood pressure increase, get you ready for action. We don't want that. So this helps with that. GABA. Now, GABA is common in just about all sleep aids nowadays due to the research that we found of what GABA does. So it's a neurotransmitter, it's anti-anxiety, and it helps with non-REM and REM. So you have two cycles, two specific pieces to your sleep cycles. There's kind of three pieces altogether that make up the whole thing. You have your in-between, or just kind of what we consider light sleep. And you have REM sleep, REM sleep. REM sleep stands for rapid eye movement. Rapid eye movement is when you're dreaming. That's why they call it rapid eye movement, because when you're dreaming, your eyes do this back and forth thing. Interesting to watch if you want to go check out a video on that. And then below that, you have non-REM sleep. So we kind of come down the scale here. We have non-REM, and non-REM is non-rapid eye movement, but it's also commonly referred to as deep sleep. Now, what happens in deep sleep? A lot of things. The two specific things that happen in deep sleep that don't happen rarely in any other version of us existing is what's known as oxidative stress repair and DNA repair. So GABA helps manage anxiety, providing a feeling of calm and relaxation. This has to do with serotonin levels. It stabilizes our blood pressure and helps keep it lower blood pressure for those in hypertension. So if you're someone who's just a very tense person, this can help lower the blood pressure and then help it stay down, which would reduce hypertension. It can help with inflammation, and again, it increases our non-REM and has an effect on the duration of non-REM. Super important for when we're sleeping or trying to get deep restorative sleep, because the longer we're in that non-REM period, the longer our body has to, again, go after that oxidative stress, go after any DNA repair that needs to happen. Our macrophages can get in there and start collecting the free radicals, which we're going to get into in some of the other ingredients. Some of the other ingredients help with collecting free radicals. So L-tryptophan, that's the next one on our list. L-tryptophan is an amino acid. It's actually an essential amino acid. We need it for a lot of processes, but specifically it's a precursor to serotonin via 5-HTP, which is a hydrotryptophan. I can't remember. It doesn't really matter, but it's also a precursor to melatonin and vitamin B3. Hydroxytryptophan, that's what it is. 5-hydroxytryptophan, which is what serotonin is labeled as. But its properties achieved via serotonin production is antidepressant and anxiolytic, which is anti-anxiety, and reduction of headaches / migraines from those suffering from. Again, serotonin, super important hormone in the body. It's one of the big four. So you have neuroepinephrine, we'll just kind of leave that one off the list for now, but dopamine, serotonin, and cortisol, the big three, and then you had neuroepinephrine in there for the big four mood hormones. Those are the hormones that are constantly fluctuating up and down to kind of express what the endocrine system is doing. Dopamine, reward hormone, feel-good hormone. Serotonin, part of that. Cortisol, stress hormone. And then neuroepinephrine, or the precursor to epinephrine, known as adrenal cortex. So like your adrenaline rush stuff, the fight or flight stuff. Serotonin balances all of those. It's kind of like the one in the middle. We'll get to the melatonin stuff because melatonin is also in this product. So we'll get to that at the end here. But it also is a precursor to vitamin B3 known as niacin. And in regards to sleep, niacin is necessary for DNA repair. Vitamin B3 is a super important vitamin, as all the vitamins are, and specifically the B complex. And there is research to show that some of the other B complex vitamins also aid in sleep function, but specifically with vitamin B3, we know it aids in DNA repair. It's actually necessary for DNA repair. I've done a video on vitamins as like a huge deep dive. Feel free to check that out if you want some more information on that. Chamomile, the next one up, is a plant, and it's used in historical medicine. It has antioxidant properties, specifically through its inclusion of, it has, like most plants do, but it has specific terpenoids, which terpenoids are, well, they're a big broad topic if you want to get into them, but anybody who's used a cannabis product or a hemp product, your most active ingredient in that you're probably getting the most benefit from, I would argue, are your terpenoids. And it's almost, you know, a misnomer now to go and say like, oh, I really want a high THC content product. No, you want a product that has specific terpenoids for what you're trying to get. So keep that in mind if you're interested in those things. But terpenoids are specifically usually very unstable. That's why we find them in essential oils. Essential oils are actually where we get a lot of our terpenoid intake. That's what essential or aromatherapy is based on. I'm a licensed massage therapist. I do a lot of aromatherapy work, and what you're getting out of that aromatherapy are the terpenoids. And they, again, there's all sorts of different terpenoids out there. They do all sorts of different things. So I wouldn't say so much the antioxidant. I mean, chamomile definitely has those when used in that way, but because this is a leaf extract and I'm not sure exactly how they're putting that into the product, I won't say that's it. I will say the antioxidant properties come from their polyphenols, which are just organic compounds we find in most plants. Actually, all plants really. Specifically, the polyphenols here are quercetin, beta-lutein, luteolin, and epiginin, which I believe all of them are glycosides, and that's important because glycosides help the glucose chain and how all of its things happen. But the one I would really focus on here, if you've never heard of it before, is quercetin. And quercetin is one of the most powerful antioxidants we've ever found, actually. It's, I think, 2 times more powerful than vitamin E, and vitamin E is the essential antioxidant that our body uses for a whole bunch of different functions. Again, I did a deep dive on vitamins. Please go check that out if you have more curiosity there. I don't cover quercetin, but quercetin is really starting to hit the mainstream medical field when it comes to helping with antioxidant and specifically its anti-inflammatory properties. And anti-inflammation is the precursor to all sorts of disease. So here it has some antioxidant properties. It's also a mild sedative. Chamomile is a mild sedative, and it's historically been used to promote better use by also aiding in digestion and anxiety, and again, the anti-inflammatory properties, which are coming, my guess would be, from the polyphenol quercetin. Next up is Passionflower, and Passionflower they're a flowering vine, and there's like 500 different species of them. It looks like on their product label there, it says Passionflora incarnata, which is incarnata Passionflora. Passionflora would be Passionflower, the vine, that species, and the specific one is incarnata. So it's been used in historic medicine, and they're beautiful flowers, by the way. If you go check out Passionflowers, they're kind of like orchids. There's just like a bunch of different types, really cool looking. But it's an antidepressant through its beta-carboline amounts, and it's trace amounts, but beta-carboline acts as an MAO. MAOs are monoamine oxidase and inhibitors, and MAO inhibitors are used in all antidepressants. Almost every chemical antidepressant on the market is an MAOI. It's a monoamine oxidase inhibitor. So it has trace amounts of that. And then we also have it's flavonoids, glucosides, and organic acids that are contained inside of those. Now, flavonoids, glucosides, organic acids, these are things the body uses for all sorts of chemical processes. Carboxylation, all sorts of stuff. Specifically, like I mentioned before, glucosides are, they help with the chains of the glycol production. So it's sugar production in the body and how we use it. They attach or detach. And then the organic acids, our body uses all sorts of things. We're just like little reactors. Passionflower has been shown to increase GABA, and it may have an effect on lowering blood pressure, anti-anxiety, insulin control, reducing menopause symptoms, and an anti-inflammatory. And I know not all of this is specific to sleep, but all of these things do affect our sleep. So we have, like, if you have high blood pressure, it might be tough for you to get to sleep, or your sleep length might be off because, again, your body's going through these blood pressure fluctuations. And when our blood pressure fluctuates, our body goes into a fight or flight state. It goes, oh, high blood pressure, get ready to act, hypertension. And then, again, with insulin control, same thing. If we have an insulin response while we're sleeping, we're going to wake up. We're going to be like, oh, I'm using sugar. I got things to do. What's going on? Or if it dips too far, we might be like, oh, that's not good either. That might wake us up because our body's going to say, hey, you're having a poor insulin response. What's going on? Are you bleeding? Like, what's happening? So that's why I include some of these other effects that they may have. Next up is lemon balm, and it's a plant from the mint family, and it's definitely been used in restorative medicine quite a bit, actually. It's cited in multiple different sources for its medicinal properties, all the way back to Paracelsus, who is probably the grandfather of modern medicine, and Culpeper. Culpeper is kind of the name when it comes to herbology. Wrote the original, like, holy grail of herbology books, Encyclopedia Herbology. It has heart and liver health effects. It may aid in regulating blood pressure and reducing irregular heartbeat issues. It's definitely been used to work with heart palpitations. There's been some study on that. So that is something that would wake someone if you have a heart palpitation, heart flutter, blood pressure issues. Remember that. And then it may aid in liver production, specifically in cholesterol synthesis, which is important because it can help lower our bad triglycerides. So that's something to keep in mind. It's a natural antibacterial. So that's kind of one of the things that's been written the most about. Specifically, is its antibacterial properties, kind of like tea tree oil, those types of things. It's just one of those things where, oh, somebody's sick, we know it's a bacterial infection. We'll give them lemon balm, make a tea, or some writing has been done. Like if you look at Culpeper, or specifically Paracelsus, wrote about using lemon balm in a poultice. And a poultice is when we take a plant or an herb and we mash it up, and instead of ingesting it, we apply it directly to a wound. So lemon balm would be included in the poultice for its antibacterial properties. It may help with overactive thyroid issues. Now, thyroid issues can have a huge effect on our sleep cycles, and we don't necessarily have to be in the realm of hyperthyroid or hypothyroid to have thyroid issues technically. Like, yes, those are the defined parameters in which we would diagnose someone with those problems if they're in those ranges. But if you just maybe have like a slight hyperactive thyroid for the day, it could just be like a daily issue of maybe you took too much of one stimulant, lemon balm would be the corrective action. So to use a improper but slightly anecdotal idea here, if someone were to ingest too much of a caffeinated stimulant in the old days, they may have a lemon balm tea afterwards to kind of help, bring them back down from that. And it's most commonly referred to as a digestive aid. So if we look at the traditional uses included, anti-anxiety, mood stabilizer, as a nootropic. Nootropics are help with brain cognitive function, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and a digestive aid. It would be very common in the world of antiquity to have a lemon balm tea or have lemon balm in the tea of an after meal as a digestive aid that maybe we ate too much just something that, too much sugar or something like that, that would kind of make us uppity, we could use lemon balm to kind of bring us back down from that. And it's also a digestive aid there. Moving on, we have hops. Pretty sure everybody's familiar with hops as far as they're common in the brewing industry. But they're a part of the Cannabaceae family, and that family is included. That's the cannabis family. So there's ties to the cannabis family. Hops and cannabis plants are very similar, and they have similar functions. Remember when I talked about terpenes and those types of things? That's why I got into that. It's because in hops, we find the same idea. So it will have interactions and has similar functions to valerian root. So that's why there's been some study to show that when taken individually, yeah, they both have a sleep aid quality, but when taken together, they seem to work very well together. It is a known sedative as an alpha acid. So hops have these different acids, and some of those are alpha acids. And one of those is 2-methyl-3-butan-2-OL, which is similar to the anesthetic. I mean, it's nearly like the same chain for tert-amyl alcohol, which is like an anesthetic we've used in the past. It may have a role in melatonin receptor reaction, which makes it kind of important. That's why, if you have a couple beers, you might feel a little drowsy. It's because it may have a role in that melatonin receptor reaction, which is going to kind of key our body into using the melatonin we're about to talk about maybe a little bit quicker than it would. There's claims to the following benefits: metabolism, cardiovascular disease, depression, insomnia, and decreased nocturnal activity. Now, that decreased nocturnal activity might be one of the biggest functions here in this particular supplement, because everything else I've seen kind of addresses that sleep-wake cycle a little bit, but not specific. Like the GABA we know is targeting non-REM. Some of the other ones are targeting maybe even REM function, but hops, particularly from what I've kind of read and what I've noticed, particularly in myself, targets that in-between space where we consider light sleep. It's, in my personal opinion, I don't really have any specific scientific evidence to show this, but in my personal opinion, the inclusion of hops here really helps target, and what hops have always done, because if we go down into this historical uses for sleep when it comes to hops, it used to be said, like, fill a pillow with hops and sleep on that. And then we'd find that hops harvesters, or those out doing the work of harvesting hops or working with hops, would often complain of being drowsy, or they would fall asleep while working. And again, I think this has a role with the melatonin receptor reaction and the fact that it is a sedative. But when it comes to our sleep cycles, I think hops is having a big impact on what's considered light sleep. So instead of our vagus nervous system or something else, our auditorial nervous system, waking us due to an outside influence, I think hops just kind of makes us go, whatever. It's not a big deal. I don't need to wake up for that. So I think that's really what hops is doing there. Now we are on to melatonin. And this is a small dose of melatonin, I will say that. In the upper right there, you can see the amounts per servings, and it's only 2 milligrams. Anecdotally, I can tell you that you can take way more than that. 2 milligrams is what I would consider a small melatonin dose. I would not consider that a large dose. Your mileage may vary. Everyone reacts to melatonin a little bit different. And, again, 2 milligrams though, I think almost everybody would agree, small dose. A typical dose of melatonin can be found in 5, 10, or 12 milligrams. Those are the typical dosing. And even the 5 milligrams, sometimes the dosage says, take 2. So we have 2 capsules here for the dose, which means you're going to get 4 milligrams total. But again, I still consider that a low dose. And melatonin is a hormone, and it controls the circadian rhythm, which is your sleep-wake cycle. It's shown to reduce the time to fall asleep and the length of sleep when we take it, because our body does that naturally. It naturally produces melatonin throughout the day, and then it ramps up as the sun goes down and we go into darkness. Melatonin production ramps up, and then it's the hormone that puts us to sleep. It has antioxidant properties, and it's a direct scavenger of oxidative stress, which there's indirect and direct scavengers. Melatonin just happens to be a direct scavenger. So it's direct related in the cellular body to be, you know, like, oh, I'm going to go grab that oxidative stress and help get rid of it. It aids the immune system as an anti-inflammatory. Again, inflammation, precursor to like almost all disease. It's always good to have those. And when we're trying to get deeper, more restorative sleep, it's helpful to have all these anti-inflammatories, as all of these different ingredients have had some sort of connection to it. And then things that reduce the natural melatonin production: caffeine, tobacco, alcohol, blue light, bright light exposure, and poor vision. Blind individuals have a tendency to have a melatonin cycle that might be a little off because they're not maybe getting a light source, or they're not turning on lights in the house and those types of things. So like they might not be getting as much function, and our eyes do play a function in our melatonin production as we fall asleep because of a light source and our eyelids saying like, no light in. So why is that important? Well, if you're someone who uses an excessive amount of caffeine, smokes, or intaking alcohol for the evening, or libations, too many libations for the week, if you have a lot of blue light exposure, if you have a lot of bright light exposure, or you're getting bright light after dark, if it's getting naturally dark outside, but then you're maybe working a second or third shift and bright fluorescent lights everywhere, you're going to have a problem producing melatonin. So it's good that it's included here, because that's what kicks us into, I'm going to fall asleep. There's a lot of sleep products out there. I've reviewed other ones. We can get them here at the final thoughts. I can get into that too. But that specific idea of having melatonin included is what's going to help you fall asleep. And then the other pieces are what's helping you stay asleep or get a better sleep. So final thoughts. What is it? It's a well-designed supplement to help you fall asleep and get better sleep. Well done, Zhou Nutrition. Does it work? It does, both as a regular or, more importantly, an irregular sleep aid. And I recommend it for either. I've used it on a 2-week basis as a regular sleep aid. I took it every work night. I work a 6-day work week. I took it every work night to help me fall asleep. It worked great for that for 2 weeks. I didn't find any dependence on it. I'll get into that stuff here in a second. But then specifically, I find that it works as an irregular sleep aid. And that's what I really recommend it for, is just, have it next to the bed, in the cabinet, as that I really need to get a good night's sleep. I'm going to take it, because I don't find a lot of natural sleep aids that manage that. A lot of natural sleep aids require kind of a regular dosing so that your body gets used to it. It's part of your normal sleep routine, if you will. Now, here's some things I've noticed with the product. It's decreased my time to fall asleep. So about 30 to 45 minutes after taking, I get like deep yawns where I'm like, all right, I really just need to go to bed. And sometimes I'm even trying to fight it, which I know is stupid, but it does give me some deep yawns that really key me into like knowing, oh, this thing's working. Cause I don't get that. I don't get that tired feeling that some people get where you just like start yawning and you're nodding off. No, I don't have that at all. So it's very interesting to me that like, I'll take this thing, and Zhou, I think, says somewhere around the 30 minutes. Mine's more to 30 to 45. Your mileage may vary here, but around 30 to 45 minutes, I am heavily yawning. And it's definitely not so much like I'm not getting like a drowsy feeling yet, but I'm definitely yawning. And I know like, okay, if I lay down, this is going to kick in real quick. And it does. I also have never noticed any drowsiness or sluggishness in the morning after use. I typically wake up after using this before my alarm even goes off, and I'm ready to get up. Not saying I do get up. I like to stay in bed a little bit when I can, but I'm definitely like up. I'm probably just like grabbing my phone. I'm like, all right, I probably should just get up, but I'm awake. I'm ready. And I'm typically a person that can like wake up and go. But when I'm using this product, again, I use it on a irregular basis. And that's when I know like, all right, I need to get a good night's sleep tonight, or man, I just not getting great sleep. And I'm going to like get back to that. And I don't wake up with that drowsy feeling you get from a lot of other products. So, Again, it works on an irregular schedule, which can be rare. And I've not experienced any habit formation. Now, habits usually take 3 months to kick in. Addiction to product, maybe a little bit sooner than that. I did use it on a 2-week basis. As soon as I stopped using it, I didn't notice any negative effects. I used it in that 2-week period to get back to a normal circadian rhythm. I typically do take melatonin, so my body is used to that, but this was the lowest dose of melatonin I've ever taken on a regular basis, and it still works. So that was good. And as a final note, the product's of good quality and it works well. So I would highly recommend it. There's a link to the product in the description below. Please check it out. I also highly recommend everything from Zhou Nutrition. I'll have a couple other links down there from other products I used. I haven't gotten to do the reviews of those yet, but they are coming. And I do recommend it. There's also a link to, or you can go to taminghindrances.com and check out the product reviews there, or here on the YouTube channel for another sleep aid known as Cliff High's Pure Sleep. If you're looking at something specifically designed for more restorative sleep, please go check that out. A like and a subscribe is always welcomed, or come and check out the podcast where we talk about self-awareness and mental health. And as we say on the podcast, take care and just remember to breathe.